Hi there, and welcome to another relaxing long play. Today, we focus on addressing the clothing shortages, grow our population, and start setting out new communities in previously untouched pastures. So, without further ado, grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and relax alongside me in Manor Lords. The harvest is in just 32 days. 30 days now. So soon we'll need to make sure that we have enough workers in the fields ready to harvest the crops. We've got these 3 new fields here, which we have yet to set up for production. But we're definitely going to need additional farms to work those. So let's go right ahead and go to farming. And we want the farmhouse. And let's add another 2 farmhouses. Now, where are we going to put these? Over here might be a good spot. They've got good access to the fields. In fact, why don't we take a little road off here? Just like that. And let's put a couple of farmhouses opposite one another there. That looks great because we are thinking about putting some housing over here at some stage as well. How are we getting on with these houses? So we haven't got any occupants yet in these, but we do have the ability to buy in animals for the animal pens that we've already constructed. So we'll get those quickly. We've got a fair number of unassigned families, but not loads and loads. Now, have we taken care of all the grain from last year? We have, so we can unassign all of our windmill workers at the very least and free them up so that they're 1 ready for the harvest and 2 available for construction now. And we're looking very, very bare over here, although actually we've got a fair few trees growing planted already, so hopefully we'll be reforesting this area reasonably soon. Let's get a worker in that forester's hut there. How are we doing here? Only 6% waiting, so let's get another family working at that sheep farm. And we should have the new sheep farms working over here as well. Not quite yet, we haven't quite finished them, so let's up the priority of those and get those completed as soon as we possibly can. And hopefully we're getting some planting going on out here. It looks like we are to a degree, because that's going to be the grove where it supplies most of our trees going forwards with our logging, well, woodcutters lodges over here, which are then being turned into charcoal. Let's free up a couple of the charcoal kiln workers because we have got 12 months of fuel now, but we've eaten up all of our lumber from the woodcutters lodges, so let's repopulate those 2 woodcutters lodges and start bringing in that wood to then be turned into charcoal. Fantastic. Everyone seems happy down here. Just after clothes and beverages as always. Let's set an overstock of 10 at this tavern as well. And these are not very productive storehouse workers. Let's get another family working there. And we'll order in you and upgrade you as well. And where we can over here, we will order in goats, as we have been doing for some time now at our various properties. And those goats are going to enable us to produce the hides we need to be able to create leather and turn them into boots. We've got quite a lot of wool, that seems to be going quite well. We've also got the new structure over here with Weaver's Workshop, which is underway as well. So once that's constructed, we should be able to up our production of yarn, which again is going to help with clothing production. which is really our main focus here in Boatlandia for the time being. Got nearly 400 sheep now. $188 constructed plots. And a lot of people, 714 population. First sheep farm here is completed, so we'll open that. Still 23 days away from the harvest, so there's time yet. I don't think there's any point in getting additional workers in the foresters' huts for the time being, but we will try and leave those 4 there when the harvest does start. Speed things along a little bit and get these finished. Straight away I want 3 families working at the weaver's workshop, and we'll get 1 working there at the additional sheep farm. And we've resources arriving for the construction of our new farmhouses, and alongside those farmhouses let's get a couple of hitching posts put down, which we can turn into stables later on. And we are going to want to build some additional orchards at some point fairly soon. So that's something we'll look into. And let's set you up to have an animal pen also. And then let's glide on over here. See how frost check is doing ahead of the coming harvest. So we've got a couple of foresters that work down here, but we are going to want to employ these foresters before too long as well. A population of 188 here, so quite a lot less than elsewhere. Actually, we have got lots of available workers, so I'm actually going to fill up these forester huts, just briefly at least. And we'll empty out these ones here. We can manage to not click on the retinue. Let's deploy the retinue down here. You can go around looking mean. It's your job. Keeping people safe and looking mean. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this over here anymore. So we can do away with that. How are we doing on shoes? We've got loads of shoes, so that's going well. Got a couple of spare gambesons that haven't been sent away, and we're producing leather at a pretty decent rate now. We're up to 95 leather already. So that's going well. Let's upgrade that burgish plot. And any of the others here that are ready to be upgraded on the waterfront that we've got going on here. And we're doing pretty well by the looks of things for production of hides. We are a little short though on pork, so I think what we might be worth doing is a couple of these newer buildings. We'll set them up to be animal pens as before, but we'll get in some pigs so we can start producing some more pork and diversify our food income sources. And when those constructions are done, we'll also look to open up some double accommodation, but there's no point really doing that until we've filled up some of the houses at least. Harvest just 16 days away. It's a big time of year. Big time of year indeed. And in fact, because we've got even now 20 unassigned families, and we have built the additional farmhouses, we've got this one here. I think this year, once we've done the harvest, will be time to activate these 3 fields here as well. And in line with that, we might even put down an additional farmhouse. And we're going to pop that just behind this one, where the ground is equally infertile. Have we worked our way through the grain in this settlement? We have indeed. So there's more workers we can free up from these windmills. And that frees people up for construction. We've got 15 oxen. It's probably time we thought about adding a few more than that. So let's go ahead and get some additional hitching posts set up. Some there to help with logging. A few here. And it's probably worth having a few down here as well. We'll connect that with the little road there. A little gaggle of stables. And we just as well put a road behind here. Connect that up there. Grand. And if we really start picking up on shoe production here, because we're already up to 74, we'll open a trade route once we get over a certain threshold. And in fact, what we might go ahead and do is come on down to the trade post. Doing here, we've only got one person working here. Let's get an additional man working there, and we're going to open up trade on shoes, and we're going to export everything over 150. Make sure we've always got plenty enough of a surplus. And how are we doing for gambesons? Yeah, okay, we're still only half equipped with gambesons over in Boatlandia, so we want to keep bringing those in as well. Let's slide on over into Lagstrasse. Looks like we're keeping the forest well maintained over here. We've got these farm buildings built, ready to activate some of these farms. Again, we might well do that this year, depending on the number of families we have available. It's looking pretty good. We can always pull someone off the mines, the stone quarries, rather, for the harvest as well, because we've got a fair amount of money set aside, so it wouldn't harm us to temporarily reduce our stone output. So that's definitely an option. And what are people lacking over here? It's the age-old clothing. So we've got shoes. Are they just not well serviced by a market? Where is our nearest market? It's here. So they're okay for food, but they are missing out on clothing. And they don't have any shoes here. I'm going to introduce another 2 workers to this storehouse to make people more available. And let's check if that's the case elsewhere as well. There's actually water access down here. I thought we had cleared up all of that particular embarrassment, but apparently not. Let's pop one down there and set that to the highest level of priority. And we've got 2 down there, so these must just be ever so slightly out of reach of those. And actually they've dropped off on water access as well. They do have access relatively nearby, and it's not like we can actually get it any closer than it is. And we've also finished with the grain here, so we can unassign people from these windmills. And with harvest just 8 days away, I think we're going to go straight ahead and assign everyone to these fields. To these farmhouses, rather. I'm going to hold off on these 2 until we're done with these over here, I think. They seem to be able to cope with that. A number of fields just fine. And do we have a reasonable production of wool? We've got plenty of wool. Have we got 165? Have we got a tailor's workshop somewhere? Let's construct one of those. Weaver's workshop. Unless we've got it in here somewhere. Doesn't look like it. And we're going to put this down near our new glut of housing down here. So let's pop that down just at the back here. And we'll take the road over like that. And then we'll assign one of these families down here to be a tailor's workshop. These are okay for the church, that's close enough for them. Again, these have got water access problems still. We have a well down there. We might have to demolish this house actually. And pop a well down here. We can't do that until these supplies are gone. So it looks like you're going to be our tailor's workshop after all. So we need to remember to build this here. Can't quite go close enough for the moment. And it would be good to have it on this corner here anyway. Let's mosey on over to the last stand. Make sure we've supplies enough for the winter. So we've got these new properties here. They've started to be moved into. And we need planks, obviously, to be able to construct that extension. So let's go ahead and get a saw pit put down. Got a lovely spot to put that in there. And we'll get a family working at the woodcutter's lodge in the interim as well. And we'll set them to deforest over here for the time being too. And look at that, loads of small game coming in. So we're plenty good enough on food. Let's order in another ox and pop down an additional hitching post as well. Not quite enough space there. Guess we'll go out on the main road there. Quickly pop over into Ironheart. We're not doing much over here at the moment, as I've said before. We're just sort of ticking over, making sure that things are taken care of. So with that done, let's swing on over to Mandluck. Looks good here. And let's get workers into the farmhouses. And let's construct an additional farmhouse here. And what have we got fertility wise? Can we make a bit of our own barley? Potentially here we could. Or up there. Not very much, but maybe enough. So we'll pop the farmhouse down here with the others. Just check the rye fertility. Yeah, so that's going to be a good place for rye fertility. So let's go here actually. Put 2 of those down. And we will pop down some fields for barley. And probably just going to get 3 in here. We'll go 3 fairly large ones. So that's 1. Royal tax again. That's 2. And that's 3. And then we'll go 1, maybe 2. 1, 2, and 3 for our new rye fields, and then 4. If you're enjoying the video and have the time, it would warm my tea if you could pop me a like and drop a comment with feedback or an idea. Regardless, thank you for joining me and know you're appreciated. And finally 6 down here. And then we just as well do another 3 here. 1, 2, and 3. I love that that tree has survived in the middle there. That's awesome. I mean, we're not going to set those up straight away, but we are going to set these up straight away. So we'll get those fields put together. And the harvest has started, so let's make sure we swing back on over to Boatlandia. And we need to get workers in our farmhouses. 1 farmhouse is enough to take care of that up there. But we do need to make sure we've got 2 available down here. So as we do it this time every year, let's go and relieve our foresters of their jobs up at the top here. That's 3 workers, 4 workers, 5 and 6. And then let's head on down to the farms. And we'll fill 1 up with workers there. And then we're going to have to strip some more workers. So I think we are actually going to have to take these foresters. Just so that we've got the numbers. And we'll fill up this farm here as well. And if we can spare another man or 2, we'll take them from these charcoal kilns, and actually we're going to demolish these. Because we've moved their charcoal production area. And we'll get rid of these logging camps as well. That one there at least. And we'll migrate logging to up at the top here, where we've been growing our new forest. Assign those spare workers to the farmhouse, and get another couple of workers on the charcoal kilns to make up for those we just took away. And I think what's stopping us from going into additional fields down here really is additional workers as opposed to enough farmhouses. So we're going to have to wait on those fields I think this year. But elsewhere that's not necessarily the case. Still working our way through that clay, we're nearly through it actually. And hopefully, yep, Weaver's workshop has been completed. Let's get a family working there. And let's get the farmhouses populated in here as well. And let's free up a couple of families from the charcoal kilns. Let's get some foresters in here. We've moved them over there, so that's fine. Actually, we don't need to get them in there while we can. But let's get this farmhouse up here fully stocked. And we've got a couple in this farmhouse here as well. We might even go for a full hog there. And take a couple of workers from one of the fishermen's huts to free them up. We'll order an oxen and mark these to be upgraded to stables. And a lot of the construction now will have to wait until we're done with this year's harvest. But we are making good progress on the shoe front, and then hopefully soon, once we start producing a decent amount of yarn, we'll be able to get on with the clothes front. Make sure you're set to make woolen clothes so you can get going. And we'll also convert you and you to be tailors' workshops. And hopefully with the increase in barley production here, we'll be able to start thinking about having some of our own malt. Goodness knows we've got enough tools. So we don't need to send too many of them by pack station over to Boatlandia. We do have enough here for ourselves with the trade that we have been doing. We are going to need to think about more vegetables, which is why we've got these down here. They're all set up and everyone's moved in now as well. That is a horrible waste of land. It's quite unfortunate. Tempted to rip that place up. None of these has access to a market either. So, fertility wise, let's get another market in here. So, let's put down a granary and a storehouse in here. Granary there, storehouse there, and then we'll pop down some markets there, connect that across there, and hopefully we should be able to get them everything that they need. This is an abomination. I'm sorry, it's going to have to go. And we'll replace it. That's pretty good actually. Quite like that. I go as far as to say I prefer it. Right on the border here with Lagstrasse. Harvest seems to be going well here, it's well underway. Still got plenty of space for people to be moving into. Boots are picking up here as well. We could definitely be producing more yarn here. Where did we decide to build that? Weaver's Workshop, here it is. Up the priority on that so we get that done nice and quickly. Got a couple of houses here ready to upgrade, so we'll click on those and get them going. And have we cleared those supplies yet? Not just yet, hopefully soon. Foresters are still hard at work. And what are we doing? Still harvesting, that's fine. What I'm going to do is, I do believe we can set up a working area over here that encompasses all these fields for these two farms. And then we're going to open up one of the farms down at the bottom, or 3 of the fields. We'll just take these 3 on the right hand side. We'll fill up one of these farmhouses and set them to work this area. And what do we set up for down here? Rye fertility. The flax is pretty awful, so let's go for rye, followed by rye again apparently. Let's go for flax. Possibly wheat. No, we'll go for flax. And this one will be fallow, rye, flax. And this one will be flax, rye, fallow. Or will it? No, will it be rye, flax, fallow? Yes. Yes, it will. So we've got a farmer set working on those. And looks like we've got a few more upgrades. The well over here has done its job, so we can get these properties upgraded. So we'll add them to the queue for when we've got more construction workers available in the winter. And we actually lost a burgage plot there. When did that happen? Don't tell me that was burned down like 6 weeks ago. Let's not worry about that too much for the minute. That brings us nicely into the planting season, where we're starting to get stuff back into the ground. Which is why it's a good time to start work down on these fields. So it looks like we've got people, hopefully, making their way over to this field to start work. Slowly but surely. And we'll just whip on over and make sure that's the same everywhere we go. And yep, looks like we're starting to get it in the ground up here as well. And down here also, it looks like we're still in the harvest down here. So if we have any free workmen, getting some additional farmers down here wouldn't go amiss. So we'll assign 2 down here. And hopefully we're still getting families moving in, and we've got lots of properties here which are ready to upgrade to burgage plot level 2. So we will oblige those, and again, most of the construction for those is probably going to come during winter. But it's still good to get them underway. A few level 3 properties, burgage plots standing high above the others. But hopefully it won't be forever until we start solving the clothing problem. You can see we've actually got 17 clothes. And a shoe. Probably a pair of shoes, admittedly. But briefly though, we had a fairly stable number of clothes, so maybe there's hope that we're starting to get on top of the problem. Plenty of wool, we are producing yarn, and the number of hides will go up as we get all of our burgage plots with goats occupied. They're very productive, which is good. These sheep farms are there as additional capacity mostly at the moment by the looks of things. How are we doing in Mandlick? Looks like we're into planting. We're just finishing the harvest by the looks of things before we move over into ploughing the fields for next year. And how close did we get? We've barely started with construction of those farmhouses, so not to worry. How many free workers? We've got lots of free workers, so we should be able to get these constructed fairly quickly. Because I would like to operate some of these fields. So crop rotation, and we'll go for barley, followed. Might as well do flax. And we'll do the same here. Barley followed by flax. And the same over here as well. Barley followed by flax. And that's quite a lot of extra work, which is why it's important we get these farmhouses open. So with that in mind, let's connect up these farmhouses a little bit better to the road network, so we don't have to walk quite so far to access them. The salt mines are still active, and we need to get that planted up there. And on these we'll get some additional living space installed as well. We'll go ahead and ignore the tax. Order in some livestock for our houses there. And what are we lacking? Shakara, clothing and beverages. Do we have sheep here yet? I don't believe we do. So a sheep farm would be something good for us to expand into down here. So let's set these fields to have pasture space by fencing them up. How are we getting on over here as well? Still got a fair amount of clay we can mine out of there. We've got lots of roof tiles, which is good. Are we doing anything with the lime kiln? Probably not. So we can free up that worker. My goodness. How have we got this far with 2 oxen? That is quite the oversight. Let's get a livestock trader as soon as we possibly can. That is, if we can find the livestock trader. Livestock trading post. Let's get that here. And let's energetically get to building some hitching posts. It's a wonder we've got this far with 2 oxen. No wonder it's taken a fair amount of time to get anything done. And we'll get a number of stables popped along here as well. And a couple out here by the farms. That should give them something to do. And they've already started work on these fields here as well. So it's no wonder we haven't started work on those farmhouses, because we don't have any oxen. So it's taking forever to send resources over there. We'll order another one, but it might be a little while till they arrive and start making a meaningful difference. And then over here, we're getting on nicely with planting up these fields. And again, fluctuating around on the clothing and on the shoes. Let's take a look at records, resources. See how we're doing for malt. We've got some in stock, but we've used a lot of it actually in the brewing, so we could do with more malt coming now out of cross-check. Or we could start buying it in. Actually, we do have a fair bit of regional wealth. So let's head on down to the trading post. And you can see we're selling our large shields as quickly as we can. We've got quite a surplus of helmets actually. We're starting to make more mail, which is good. We definitely don't want to be trading that away. We're going to need that when we have more level 3 households. I suppose we could skip the process and buy in ale, for example. That might be an option. The alternative. Again, we could buy in barley and make our own malt. So that's 12. How much is it to buy in malt? Malt's 14, so let's do that. Let's import barley. Establish a trade route. And let's try and keep a surplus of 20. And then down here, let's make sure that we have a malt house set up so that we can in fact produce our own malt with the barley we bring in. Lovely little spot for that here. And with that malt being produced hopefully from the barley, it would be a good idea to see if there is anywhere we can produce our own barley. Even a small amount, so we're not completely relying on import. So we've got a little patch of yellow there. Little patch of yellow there. It's all red over here. A little bit of yellow in here. Bit of yellow there. Do you think they'd let us build a field just over the border? It's going to be here, isn't it? Okay. Let's get down some fields here, just so we've marked off where we are going to do it in future. And we might as well make maximum use of the space. See if we can't get most out of it that we can. So 0.9 Morgan there. 1.3 Morgan there. And 1.5 Morgan there. Those will be our barley fields. So let's ring those with a road. Like so. And connect that up to our existing road network. And they might even be able to be serviced by these farmhouses in time as well. The months are ploughing on, we're into November, and we're still very much in the process of getting planting done. Let's just see if there's anywhere nearby here we can add water access. Here's a little bit of a nightmare. In fact, this might not be a very good place to have an expansion of housing because there isn't an immediate source of nearby water. I think our best bet is going to be to put that one down there. And possibly put this one here. We should be servicing these at least. Which it is. It's not quite reaching the middle though. So it's not reaching here. They're not going to be serviced by that one we're building over there either. I don't see as much we can do about it. So we're not going to worry about it too much. Got some flax going into the ground. What should we get out in the harvest this year? None apparently. I'd assume then we've already turned all of that into linen. We haven't started making any grain yet. We've got rye, we've got wheat. We've got wool, we've got yarn. Got a hide, got some leather coming in. So we've just got to keep plugging away at the old clothing problem, and goodness, Don't those colours look absolutely stunning? Wonderful, wonderful colours. Let's go and see how harvests are getting on elsewhere in the realm. So it looks like we're well into ploughing here, and hopefully before too long sowing as well. And how is the waterfront development going? Looks like construction's basically paused while we're getting on with the harvests. And see how we're getting on down here. Let's get that saw pit active. Let's expand the living space where we can as well. Got a couple of free workers. We've got a load of food and a load of fuel for winter, so we're pretty much set here. Just a case of continuing to move in the right direction. Let's set up some production limits. We don't need more than 50 planks, and we want it to have at least 15 logs at any given time. So we'll need an additional family working at the logging camp to make sure that we can meet that without not being able to make any planks at all. And let's get these set up for vegetable patches as well. And it might well be worth thinking about where we're going to put some orchards. I think maybe alongside these burgage plots here we've made might be a nice place. So let's carry that road down to here and see about putting something here. Let's bring this road across here, maybe even a little further up, just mimicking the water's edge, and see what that does to setting out of a house here. Okay, that could work. That's quite nice. So, ooh, yeah. Perfect. Getting to that snap point there. So, let's put one there. And then let's see about getting one next to it. In fact, let's even come a little bit. Get a regular one in there. And then a third here. Fantastic. Let's even make that a little bit smaller at the first. Yep, and get down to one property. That's gone really nicely, and then we'll just build a road across the back here and connect back in just there. Just like so. And we need vegetables set up here as well, so that's all three of those. And we're going to want carrot, we're going to want cabbage, and we're going to want beets. So we'll just speed time along a little bit, move things along until construction's done here, and hopefully most of the farming is done elsewhere as well. And as the snows start to fall, construction of our latest vegetable plot opens up. And we're a little shy on funds for the time being, so we'll have to rely on those two for the minute. But it's a good start nevertheless. Don't need this worker here, although we will go ahead and use the last of our money to get a foraging going there. So we've got some housing going up here, But we're also going to want to get some additional housing down here. So we'll build those there. Some more waterfront properties. And let's go inland and double check how we're getting on at Lagstress. We should be pretty much there in terms of farming for the year. So let's unassign these families. And get them hard at work on construction. And did pretty well down here. Looks like we weren't quite finished, but that's something we can get on with next year. So again, down to the minimums here. We need to make sure that we have got workers in our windmills so we can start milling the grain into flour. And we'll head on over and do the same in frost check. Let's free up men from the farms. They're really nice. There's a game called Ostriv, and it enables you to have seasonal hiring. So you can automatically have your farms hire and unhire people depending on the time of year. And that really helps with this micromanaging. You don't have to go and assign and unassign everyone every year. But for the time being, we'll have to just put up with doing things manually here. We'll get a couple of extra workers at the charcoal kilns and the woodcutters lodge, now we've got them available. And all those free workers, we might as well take the foresters in with that as well, because they're not going to be doing any planting in winter. And we'll free them up to work on construction. And let's double check that we have the right clothes being made at all of our tailors. Woolen outfits. And a farm that almost escaped my notice there. But our new fields we're hoping to open up down here. And let's free everyone up for construction, as we have with our other villages and towns. Let's get a worker in here and overstock there. Let's unassign from this farm. Let's get the windmills up and running. One there and one down here. A couple of properties we can upgrade, so we'll go ahead and get those upgraded. Well, let's upgrade a couple of these wells. Completely forgotten that was a thing. And hopefully that will help with some of the supply in terms of how close the wells are, or aren't as the case may be. And doesn't the manor look gorgeous in the snow? So we are making some headway with clothing over in Boatlandia. Let's make sure we're getting people in at the windmills at all of our different settlements. Looks like we did get on and get some barley in the ground here. So what we're going to make sure we do as well, let's get these upgraded to stables, order another ox, and let's get a malt house. So we can turn that malt we're producing into the barley we're producing into malt as quickly as possible. And then let's also change one of these properties over to a brewery as soon as we can. Let's take this one here. And otherwise we've got people freed up nicely to crack on with upgrading properties. Have we got the livestock trader? There we go. Let's get a family working in here. And let's make sure that we have got at least 20 oxen at any given time. And let's go through and upgrade any of those additional hitching posts that we put down to stables. So we've got space to house all of those oxen as they start to arrive. We had a few over here as well. There we are. Upgrade those. And do the same for this one here. And we're a little shy on stone. So at our trading post, let's import. And we probably want to keep about 50 at any given time.
Step right up and
And we're going to need that for a few things, but mostly for the minute, we need it so we can upgrade some of our wells. And how are we doing in Boatlandia? Do we have any of those wells upgraded yet? Looks like they're on it. Which is grand. Do we have a surplus of wool still? 33, so we are getting through it and turning it into yarn. So it looks like, yeah, productivity 88%, so that Weaver's Workshop is making a difference there. I wouldn't mind though having a second Weaver's Workshop in case that becomes something that's of use to us. And we'll pop that just behind here. Let's upgrade these to stables. And with plenty of flour, working our way nicely through all of that grain. Finances look okay as well. Have we had our first couple deliveries of barley? Yes, we've got 20 barley. So let's go on to our malt house. Wherever we ended up building that, it was down here. Let's get a couple of workers in that malt house so they can start producing our own malt domestically. And that's going to expand our capacity to make sure we've got a decent alcohol supply for our residents. We'll upgrade that burgage plot. No meats or fishes. It's an odd one. We have plenty of pork on the market still. And Chevron coming in and out as well. Maybe as a result of us no longer having our eel sold locally. But I wouldn't have thought it would make too much of a difference. Most of our meat was coming from pork before anyway. Although I guess we will need to replace the supply we had previously from the eel. Let's set up these two burgage plots for some vegetables. Let's upgrade that well there. And we're still having people move in along the coastline. How are people's needs here? We've got water access. Looks like we're struggling a little bit for food supply. How are we doing at the granary? Very busy. Okay, let's get an additional 3 families working at the granary. And this here is probably going to be a good place to get an additional granary, storehouse and marketplace set up. So we're going to continue expanding housing along here, along the water's edge and coast. So with that in mind, it would be good to have markets set up ready to accommodate that. So we'll set a road up there. do the same here. And a third one there. We'll link those two. And we'll pop in a market here. Probably not quite as large as that. That looks good. And we also want a well over here. Got a couple of houses ready for upgrading, so we'll get those upgraded. And let's order in goats, so we can keep that hide production nice and high. We'll do the same here where people have already moved in. And a few more to upgrade there as well, so we'll upgrade those with alacrity. As usual, we're going to ignore the royal tax. Although we are getting a fair bit in just from having burgage plot tax without even really worrying about directly taxing the population, which is great. Finances are still looking good here. Planting was okay, could definitely do with some more farm workers. And in fact, to accommodate that over here, let's get an additional farmhouse down in here. To help with these farms over here. How are we doing down here? Have we got water access for everyone here now? Does look like it. Ooh, we've got a few we need to assign. Let's get some pigs in there. You're going to be making woolen clothes. You should have a decent excess of wool here. Yep. And for you to work, we're going to need yarn. So let's get some families working at the weaver's workshop. We haven't actually got any space for anyone to move in. We've actually filled all of these residences down here. So where are we going to expand to next? Well, these are serviced here, although not very well. And how are we looking in terms of fertility? I'm not realistically going to take advantage of that, so we might as well fill out this area with more housing. And if we're going to do that, we need a better and more stable supply from a local marketplace granary storehouse. So let's set these up behind here. Let's get a granary, a storehouse. We'll pop a road up between them. And then we'll put down another well over here. And a marketplace here.
These things do happen from time to time.
And with that, we'll then get some additional burgage plots. Let's get some on this curve here, which is a little bit more interesting than just having another straight row of houses behind. Oh, yeah, let's fill up to that road there. And maybe we'll have some small vegetable plots in those. So we'll pop those there. And then where's this road end here? Just there. So then let's come across here. And along here. Right down there like that. And let's fill in some housing here. Now we actually got the King's Road passing through there, which I hadn't noticed. That's pretty cool. Let's make these fairly large as well. And then we'll put some housing, some smaller housing along here. Also filling up this space here. That looks fantastic. And that still leaves space here for our granary, our storehouse. Got a water supply in the centre of it. Probably are going to want to get a tavern here as we start looking at moving into production of other goodies. Build that there, and it should become quite the little centre down here. Let's bring a road round here and come all the way along the back there to allow access up onto the main road, and we'll get that property upgraded just as so long as they're allowing us to do so. It has been a while pretty much in all our regions since we've really looked at getting additional orchards planted. So that's something we're definitely going to need to start thinking about doing. But spring has really crept up on us. So we'll just double check that there are no farms that are in need of tending. And we'll do that by going to the farmhouses and make sure that everyone is in a waiting stance. We'll worry about those two in a minute. Let's start with everywhere that has farms. And yep, we've got ploughing going on here. So we want to make sure that that farm is filled. And we've got someone ploughing here, but it's down at these fields. So it would make more sense to fill up these farmhouses. So we'll do so. We'll get those properties upgraded. We've still got space for people to move in. And let's get some workers at the storehouse and granary, and we'll upgrade those straight away as well. Gosh, you're a long way from home down there. So yeah, we've got ploughing on here as well. So let's make sure we've got that farm filled capacity. And we'll do the same with this one here. So get them working away. And then finally over here, where we did expand as well. So we look good with these ones here, which is nice. So we've definitely got capacity with building those additional farmhouses. And although the facility wasn't very high, 62 is a decent amount of barley to produce. So it does go to show it is worth producing even in a place like this. And fuel is critically low here. Taking our eye off the ball there. So what have we actually got here? One woodcutter's lodge. So let's get 3 working there. Let's build another couple of woodcutters lodges up here. Maybe on the road here. And we're definitely going to want to get a charcoal kiln operational here as well. Or a couple of them. And let's get a little warren of roads in here as well. So no one wants to take a longer route than they need to. And that's going to really help with our fuel production, because it's so much more efficient than firewood. So we're lucky we got through the winter here actually. It's probably because we so massively upgraded or increased our population size here quite quickly overnight. Expand the living space on that one there. So this is one of the only regions we have taken care of those trees like we were talking about. And how are we doing in Boatlandia? We've got these filling up nicely as people have been moving in. So we'll send them the traditional welcome gift of Boatlandia, which is a goat. And we do need to expand the living space on these ones here as well, so that we have enough space for continued migration. We've still got 17 spaces available, so that's pretty good for the time being. Good on food and fuel. We've got people working the fields. How are we doing on... We've actually got a reasonable number of shoes. We're starting to catch up with shoes. We've got a reasonable amount of ale in as well, considering we've got overstock in all of our pubs. And clothes, as always, is flickering in and out. And we just keep making steps towards that. And we've got ever more sheep. Let's get some workers in these foresters' huts. And we'll do the same down at the bottom here. And just leave a few families on construction duty. There's definitely not as many oxen on this side of the river, so let's add a couple of hitching posts down here, which is sort of becoming one of the main areas. Let's get 4 stables there. Let's get a couple in here as well. Can we squeeze one in that gap there? Doesn't look like it. We'll get one down here though. Let's get an additional family working that granary. And hopefully that stone well is doing the job in terms of supplying water access. It looks like it is. That's grand. Still good for pork. And we're going to be adding ever more onto the market and also shove on with our goats as well. Grand, grand, grand. I do like the waterfront. It's developed nicely down here. Got so many shoes. In fact, we've got so many shoes that we'll be exporting shoes by this point, bringing in additional income, which is great. And here we've got cabbage, beets. So let's go for 2 carrot with those. And if we're also not thinking about putting farmland in this space here, which I very much doubt we are. It's got a bit of barley fertility actually. This space here though, it's free game. So let's get a house in here with the aim of turning this into an orchard. Follow that round as far as we can.
Step right up and sample.
That looks good, so put that there. And really we just don't want to be riding over too much barley fertility. That's good flax. Probably not putting anything down in here. So that's a good spot for us to put another orchard. The problem really is going to be remembering where these are when it comes time to plant them. And let's get one down here behind the farms. We start that in the other direction across the back of those houses. What can we do here? I like that a lot. Pop that one there. And what can we do next to you? We fill this space up. To an extent. Pop that down there as well. Another house ready to be upgraded there. To level 2. And we're cracking on with getting that set up for flax. We should be producing a reasonable number of clothes now as well. Because how are we doing for 336 wool, 100 yarn, loads of hides as well, and plenty of flax pertains to linen. So I think what we need to do is massively expand our weavers. So let's get an additional worker there, and also our clothes makers. So I think this is going to be clothes makers row. So let's convert another 4 of these properties into sewers. So we'll set those 4 up there. And let's
get your daily dose of greens.
Some weavers' workshops. And let's get 3 down. This is going to be our kind of clothes production area, where we start to pump clothes out at a ghastly rate, which is fantastic. Get another ox ordered in. It's always good to have lots and lots of oxen. Probably time we checked up on some of our other regions. Plenty of construction here in the new living quarter. And then over in the last land, we've had some new building constructed here. We've got plank production underway. So what are we looking to build next over here? Church would probably be a good start. So let's get one of those set down here. Got logs coming in. Saw pit. Let's get a second family working the logging camp. Let's get a second family working the hunting camp. And where's our stone deposit here? It's all the way over there. So let's get our stone gatherers down as well, so we can start bringing some of that over. And we'll just pop that down here. And let's get a worker to our forester's huts while we have that available. And these are going to be primarily for orchards. So let's set these up ready for orchards. With those 3 there. Got some vegetables being planted there, which is great. We've got people moving in down here. Let's get a charcoal pit set up as well, so that we can turn some of that firewood we're chopping into more easily used resources. More efficiently used resources, rather. And we're also going to need to get a mining pit down for the clay. It's iron, all the same. It's obviously not all the same, but we are going to need to mine that up anyway. Clay pit is a long way away. But we are going to need to get some clay, so let's pop that over there and bring a road, make that back to the King's Road. We'll pop down there. And then what can we do in terms of tool production? Have some iron So we'll be able to set up a bloomery and produce things domestically to start with. And longer term here, we're probably going to look to produce berries and rye flour for sale. So we'll need to get a farm set up here at some point soon as well. Let's get some additional housing set up. Let's get a connecting road through to here, just so we don't overdo the number of houses in one row and harm our ability to get around. So we'll pop those in there and build up a road behind them. Let's start. That was awful. Put that in line with the back so the houses can actually use it properly. And we'll get a well back here as well. Hee. Okay, good start there. Ironheart, how are we doing? We've almost built up the population back to the capacity that it has. And we could do with a bit more fuel. So let's get an additional worker, a couple of workers at the charcoal kilns. And we might as well extract as many of these fish as we possibly can. And I think it's probably time over here to start thinking about farming. So we'll start with barley and rye. So this looks like a good spot to start a barley farm, or indeed we could go up here. But here's a little closer to home. So let's fill out some fields across here. Plan out where they're going to go. So let's make these pretty uniform. So we'll come down here. What we might even do is pause the game and do something we haven't done before. Let's mark out the position of these fields and measure them with course bits. So let's align this to the edge of the map. And where are we looking? Sort of in line with the end of these trees. Right, let's come out about this far here. And we'll just follow these across. We'll start with 6. Spaced right next to each other. And then let's go to farming and bring a field off the back of each of these. And they're going to be just over a Morgan each in size. We'll try and line them up as best as we can. So one there. Two. And we'll just repeat this process, coming along and using those course bits to measure out the distance between fields. And we must be doing something right because they're all coming up at 1.1 Morgan in size. So that to me is indicating that we're pretty good in terms of keeping it fairly even. So with those built, let's demolish these quartz bits. We don't need them. They were a useful handy dandy measuring tool, but they're no longer required. And then we'll pause the game and let's pop a road around these. That does go around nicely. So I guess we'll start by going around the bottom and then we'll reconnect onto that road and we'll come around the top as well. Doesn't like that corner for some reason. Fantastic. And that is a nice orderly set of fields. So let's go ahead and connect this up to the main road network. And then let's think about getting some farmhouses. I think given how much fertility we have, okay, maybe we will come off here and put the farmhouses just a little aside so that we're not wasting any fertility. And we'll build 2 farmhouses initially, one there and one there, connect up to that road there. Okay, and finally, the people of Ironheart have something to do other than rebuild. They've got the opportunity to start afresh and make some new things. So we'll let them get on with that. And down here, what else do we need to go up to level 2? So we've got the church under construction. Apparently the water access we've got here isn't very good. Probably because we haven't put any in. So it will put some down there. And that's going to give us what we need to get up to the next level so we can start charging taxation. And once we've got a bit more money in the coffers, we can start to do things like plant up some orchards, etc. And in Lagstrasse, we're still half a year away, a third of the year away from harvesting. It looks like things are going well over here. We've got people starting to move in already to the new hamlet we've put in at the back over here. And I think we're going to put, providing we're doing okay for meats, yeah, we've got 100 pork. 52 chicken as well, actually. And a bit of chevron. How are we doing for hides? Could use more hides, but we have got 200 leather. We might even put some small vegetable plots in here. I think that might be quite nice on some of these ever so slightly larger plots. Just to add a little bit of variety. Let's get some workers in this granary and storehouse and upgrade those to the next level as well. And we've got plenty of new saplings being planted here by our foresters and down here as well. And we're just generally thriving over in Lagstrasse. It's going really nicely. Over in Frostcheck, not enough pasture space. Let's make sure that we've got these new fields here upgraded to pasture, as they are enormous. They will provide lots and lots of pasture space. Okay, and how are we getting on here? Is everyone's done. So we can free up the farms so they can get back to construction while we wait for the fields to grow and ripen. It would be good to keep some of the barley and malt this year as well. We'll upgrade that one there. And we are running out of accommodation space here. So any of these that we can upgrade so we can have more families living in them, I think we will do so. And it's going to make for some nice large residences along here. And we're actually out of logs. Something we haven't run out of in a little while. We are eventually going to deforest this whole area probably, so let's go ahead and get down a log cutters camp. At least we would if we had any logs. That's something else to revisit. We've obviously chewed through our reserve in building this new lakeside settlement here. And those work areas will start to fill up as we come into the summer months. Haven't had anyone move in up here just yet, but I'm sure that is to come. And from what was nothing to do with farming, we've actually turned Boatlandia into one of the largest farming areas. And I would very much like to look at where we could grow some barley here, and I think we already did. So we put down here, is that flax? It's flax. That's something we can start to investigate, isn't it? But it would be useful if we could grow some of our own barley as well. But it looks like all of the not absolutely terrible spots have been built over, apart from one over there. So let's do what we did with where we're going to put the flax. And let's mark out this area here for some future fields where we can domestically produce a little bit of our own barley. And let's go for a couple of really big fields. 2.2 Morgan. And we'll just duplicate that more times over with a 1.5. And then with a 1.9 there. And hopefully we didn't lose too many berries from that. Looks like 10 maybe. And we'll pop some fences around those, so that's potential for some domestic barley production here in the future. It looks like we've got a fistful of residences ready to upgrade to Burgess Plot level 2 as well. So we'll get on and get those done. And as we often do when we pop into Boatlandia, we'll just check to see where we're at with wool and yarn, etc. So making our way through our wool actually. Got yarn, as we hopefully be made to close pretty quickly. Still don't have any sat around though. 2,800 regional wealth. So I am considering possibly buying in some clothes. Not necessarily the case for those ones over there, but for our more established residences, it's just clothes that are preventing us from getting over into Burgess Plot level 3. We do have a reasonable number of shoes available though, so I don't know why that isn't fulfilling the need. It might just be that our storehouses are struggling to cope with the demand on them. Let's focus over here for a minute. So, this storehouse, 3 workers, 76% productivity. And this marketplace is providing clothes to some areas and shoes. Let's get another worker at that storehouse. And what we might look to do is, we've got a fair bit of flax down there as well. We might just have to wait for those flax fields to come along before we're really producing enough clothing. We do have the option of buying in, but I'm not certain we're really exporting enough at the moment. We export wooden planks, bows, shields of both types, gears, and eel, and we're still only sat at 2,800 without really that many expenses apart from. So I'm worried that if we start importing something like linen or flax, we're going to run out pretty quickly. We're already importing barley, and that's going to come at quite a cost. So I think, frustrating as it is, we're just going to have to wait for our textiles economy to kind of catch up with us here. Talking of catching up, man, look, we need to get on top of the fuel situation. So let's get the new charcoal kilns fully manned, and we're going to do the same for the woodcutters' lodges, and we're actually going to do the same for the foresters' huts, and we're even going to build a couple of additional foresters' huts. I'm not worried about these wild animal deposits. We never actually managed to get anything out of them when we were looking to harvest them. So we'll just come along here and down some more foresters. And we've got a malt house of our own set up here, so we'll be able to make our own beer. And let's get down a tavern. Just got space here in the middle. Oh yeah, perfect. So let's get the tavern place there. And hopefully that's gonna, might even get up to level 3 burger spots here before we do at our main settlement. Got 168 shoes, so we are not short of shoes. Let's get 3 more storehouse workers there and 2 more granary workers so we can better supply everyone around here. And have we got our sheep farm constructed yet? Doesn't look like it. So let's get a sheep farm and we'll put them down here with our other farms. Maybe back to back here. So we'll pop those there. Because we have the money now, we can start buying in sheep and start taking advantage of making some clothes that way. And we are going to have some flax as well for the first time. So we'll be able to use that at the weaver's workshop, which is something else we're going to need to construct. And where to put it? I think we might as well put it over here near our domestic population centre, or what will be our population centre. Sort of filled up this middle space now, apart from here actually. So maybe let's put them in here. Get one there. Well, just about fit a second. We're only going to need one for the time being, but having 2 is no bad thing necessarily from the get-go. Food-wise, we're doing absolutely fine. Got plenty of bread actually as well. Just getting on top of that fuel situation is what we need to work on. And as the rain falls, we can see that yet another of our villages is growing stronger and going from strength to strength. Possibly the fuel situation here. I do like swinging over into Boatlandia and seeing fortress here. We really are starting to flesh out and fill out the space as well. Really could do with some additional families moving in. Let's upgrade that one there. So we've got 14 spaces for people to move in. Migration is already at 2 a month. Got a decent amount of passive income. So we'll leave them to it here. Over in Frostcheck. Again, we're just getting people moving in, making sure we've got accommodation space. Because we're going to need those extra farm hands sometime to activate the additional barley fields as well. And we're producing... We actually have a surplus of clothes, 3 clothes, a lot of shoes. We've got a decent amount of yarn, and we've got quite a lot of sheep here. Nothing like we do down over at Boatlandia, but it seems to be enough. And how are our tailors getting on? Let's make sure they're all... Actually, do we have... How much spare linen do we have? We do have some linen. So we don't want them all producing woolen clothes. We do want the majority to be producing woolen clothes. So we'll change a couple over, just the one over. And then let's add another couple of tailors here. And how's the efficiency here? Not great. That's obviously going to impact the number of people we have available to work on the fields. There's not much we can do about that. And we've got spare people at the moment. We should get them working here at the fishing. And have we got... Yeah, we're ready to Not quite there yet. We're working on them. I was going to say it would be nice to get these additional houses we've set up ready with orchards planted. So we can get them growing as soon as we possibly can. Let's also get the foresters' huts operational while we can. And I think we're okay for how everything else is being run there. I would have thought at some point soon we would experience another incursion from bandits. But it's not happened just yet. I'm not wishing for it by any means. The new hamlet is coming together nicely. Let's set an oversupply here at the tavern and upgrade it to level 3 straight away. Got a few clothes bouncing around. We've got wool, we've got yarn. And we've got a couple of properties here ready to upgrade to level 2, so we'll carry straight on and get those upgraded. Again, while we have the workforce available to do so. And we set this up as a tailor's shop, making woolen clothes, lovely. And we're going to do the same with the 2 residences next to it as well. And we'll upgrade some of our new vegetable plots also. And we seem to be keeping the forest in a reasonable condition. Have we made our way through everything from last year? Almost, so we can start to unassign windmill workers. Popping into the last land. You can see that the church is being constructed. And still water access is the issue. How have we not completed this well? I guess they've been busy making the church. It may only just have been completed in all fairness, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And we've got a reasonable number of properties for people to be moving into. We've obviously got some stone already, but we're going to need to get the stone camp gathering a few more. And we're getting plenty of goods from the wild animals. And we're probably coming up against a problem of having enough oxen here to do much. We've only got the 2 at the moment. So that probably is slowing things down, especially with building the church. And they're working on the housing at the moment as well. So it looks like we've got those farms constructed over here. We might even, I know it's May, but let's go ahead and get a barley and flax rotation on these. We'll set up 3 fields initially. So barley flax, barley flax, barley flax. Got plenty of spare workers, so we'll assign them to get in and work on those fields straight away. And then as for the others, we are going to need some housing for people to be moving into. So we don't want to build any of barley fertility or flax really. And actually, is there plenty of flax fertility? Some barley up there, flax there. Neither on the coast here, but it's quite a long way away. I think flax, barley, so neither have got strong fertility here, and whereas rye is strong over here. Rye is strong on both sides, but we could grow barley or flax. We could grow flax over there potentially. So I think here might be a good place to do some housing. So I'm going to space this off from the fields by a little way to make space for a industrial base. And put a road conjoining the 2 there. And And we'll get a storehouse and granary on one side. And on the other, got a well set up over here. The water might be an issue, but we can always upgrade that to a stone well. And we'll get space in here for some markets. And we'll continue this road along here. And we'll put another connection coming down here. And this can be our first major building project and expanding it into Ironheart. So it's just rebuilding what was left behind. And let's make these at the bottom vegetables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these ones at the top we'll make smaller. And we'll do 2 ranks of those. Although we might not have a very large stockpile of wood. No, we don't. So we will do a second one there, but not for the time being. And in line with kind of expansion in kind of the ilk of how we're going to be doing things and how we're going to be running things in this village compared to how it has been done, let's make a little extension of this road here. And we're going to build a number of foresters. We will do when we have enough resources. We'll also then look to get some more woodcutters and turn this into a kind of a forestation area. But for the time being, they have plenty to do with getting the fields up and running here and the new residential area constructed as well. Let's make sure we set the granary to higher priority and the well also, wherever that's ended up. It was over here somewhere. Let's check where the water was. That'll help us find it. There, right. So that they're built before the houses are. So there's some expansion down there. And how we get on here? We've got the water up. We've got houses ready to upgrade. So we'll upgrade as many as we can. We don't have loads of planks yet to level 2. So we can start getting an income coming in from those. And we're fine on food and fuel from them. And the waterfront here looking as splendid as ever. How are we doing in terms of marry up with the harvest? Still 94 days away. Plenty of time. And we've got a couple of fields up here that haven't got extra space. Let's get those set up immediately. Don't know why we didn't do that at the time. Looks like we actually kept on top of that roll tax just with Burgish plot income. Yep, so we get those set up. And how are we doing? What are we struggling on fruit wise? Apples by the looks, apples and quinces. So we'll pop some apples in there. And then we'll put some quinces in there. And we'll get these ready. One of them will be apples and the larger we'll put for pears. Let's upgrade those. Again, we're fine for food and fuel. And these additional, this last stand upgrades, these additional places we had ready, let's get them set up so they're producing clothes as well. And we've got plenty of wool. We've got a reasonable amount of yarn. So really, these tailors' workshops should be pumping out clothes at a rate of knots. And how are we doing here for production of clothing? So, per month, we're only making a couple per month. How can we be making so few clothes? Do you only make one cloth per tailor shop, per person? I mean, the tailor shops don't have clothes. That's how dire the situation is when it comes to clothing. At this rate, we're better off selling the yarn and buying clothes back in on the market. Which honestly might be something we have to consider doing in the other regions as well if we can't get on top of the clothing problem we're having. Talking of clothing problems, let's go to the mother of all clothing problems, which is Boatlandia. And how are we doing here as well? We'll look at it here. So, making 23. Only a few per month. 3 in stock, production 23, consumption 15, plus 8 on the balance. I'm not sure we're really seeing that reflected in what we're seeing out in the real world. Okay, so this isn't per month, this is throughout June, so that's 7 days, okay. Last 12 months. So, plus 79, 83, 51, 12, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So these are months, more or less. So we're making between 50 and 100 clothes a month, and it's not just not quite enough.
Anywhere else?
But at least they are being made. And it's not just like we've got tailors' workshops for the sake of it. And what's the issue with productivity? 92% there. Is it just because we've only got one family in each of these? Possibly. So it might be worth considering having some multiple occupancy properties set up for tailor shops. Something to consider at least. We have got some here. Okay, we're going to make that a tailor's, and we're going to see if having multiple families working there improves the efficiency, so we've got more clothes being produced. And we're still doing okay for fruits, which is not surprising given the amount of fruit trees we have planted in this region, but we also do have a very large population, 780, so it wouldn't be surprising to me if we needed to add more in the near future. And this area here is being reforested, but it might be that I target this as a place to get some more fruit trees planted. So let's go to domestic and see about filling up some of this space here. That's pretty good. That's one there. Not the nicest aspect onto the mines. But, you know, could be worse. Not sure how it could be worse, but I'm reliably informed by life that it can be. So let's see about filling up these spaces. I think some lush green trees in these spaces will go a long way to improving the look over here. Because at the moment it is really just a bare cliff that keeps being swept off trees. A little bit of overlap there. No, it's because of the different heights that it's showing at. Let's not make that one quite so wide. Let's go like that. One there. One there. One there. And one there. So those are going to be our new orchards. And hopefully they can be serviced by this market here. So it might be worth upgrading these to a larger storehouse and granary, so that they can provide for them. Seem to be doing okay on income as well. It's 2,900. And that's with buying in the barley as well. And we're actually getting a bit of a surplus of cider, of ale rather, so that's showing that probably is actually working out for us. These ready to receive fruit trees. Looks like it. We'll get pears in that one we said, and we'll... Oh, there we are. And apples in that one. And we might as well upgrade the living space in those as well. We haven't got masses available to us with these. And we've got 2 clothes here, and let's just double check as well properly what the clothes are. We'll go for production over the last 12 months. So it really has been low here. 9, 23 and then 25 a month for a while. And as we've started to pick up the number of tailors' workshops we've had in recent months, up to 40 a month, up to 57 a month, so they are making a difference. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 10 tailors' shops there, and they're not producing enough clothes for population of nearly 400 in Venice. There's actually more people here than I thought we had. It's not even half the size of Boatlandia, actually. Which is surprising. I think that's probably because this new development over here, isn't it? Has added a lot of population to the area. Quite a short period of time. Okay, so we are starting to think about potentially making some of our own malt in-house here and keeping it, instead of sending it all away. And actually, if we're managing... I don't even know how much we've got here. Let's have a look. It'll be under crafting materials malt. We've got 9 in stock. We've made 234. So nearly all of it is being sent away. Is there any way we can control the amount that we're sending out from our pack station? So we're doing gambesons from that one. Is it a pack station in Boatlandia that's handling things? Well, now that's confusing. Oh, is it this one here? No, so it's actually sending pairs for malt. The frost check. But nevertheless, that is our main source of malt for our ale here. We'll see how we go on the balance here, because in fact, let's stop bringing in malt. We're just going to put that as none and unassign the stable person. And we're going to up the amount of barley we want at any given time to 40. We might try and sell barley onto the market to dilute the price as well a little bit. That might not be a very efficient way. Maybe better off just sending it direct to Boatlandia from Frostcheck. We'll leave the gambesons for wooden parts. How many wooden parts do we have here? 115. Yeah, not ridiculous. So we'll leave that going. But in theory, that's going to allow us to build up our own supplies of malt here from the barley we're producing. And with that, we can start brewing it ourselves as well. So let's select a couple of residences to become breweries. I think maybe we'll pick the 2, maybe 3 on the end here. And let's get a tavern placed down. Might as well pop it there. Because actually, despite the fact that Boatlandia is our first and by some margin largest settlement, it's Frostcheck actually that has the best potential, because we've got ripe farmland, we can produce a large amount of barley, we can produce a large amount of materials for clothing. And those are the 2 things really that hold us back when it comes to upgrading to Burgish Plot level 3. We really have swamped the manor in doing all this. It's actually tucked in here. May end up moving the manor, we'll see. Or we'll just build a structure here with a wall bordering onto the last land. We'll just run a couple of upgrades here while we have the planks to do so. And that's just going to slowly start building up our passive income. Otherwise, we'll just let things tick over there. How did we get on over in Ironheart with these fields? Yeah, they're fully planted. So we'll unassign all those workers there and free them back up for construction. And look at that. Houses here going up. No one moving into them yet, but they're getting ready. And we'll set these up for vegetable plots. And even in the most backwater of places, we're starting to make good progress. Just 57 days away from the harvest. Frostcheck especially is thriving. And it's taking the other regions with it as well. That's all we have time for today, friends. I hope you found this as relaxing to watch as I found it to make. I would love to hear any suggestions you have for these or other videos. Pop a comment below and I'll read it and respond. And if you enjoyed the video, then why not gift it a like? As always, I appreciate you and your feedback. Until next time, cheerio!